Hey, welcome back. Let's start with that difficult question. Is Slime Rancher 2 worth it? Well, if you actually go by those like 1000 Steam reviews, it's overwhelmingly positive, so yeah, it must be a great game. And honestly, I'm a little bit biased because I've played the original way too many hours and made way too many videos about it, but honestly, I think it's also pretty great. But there are still a few weird game choices, like a few weird, game design choices that I really want to talk about. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this entire video, I do want to mention there are going to be slight spoilers, but not too many. I'm going to try to avoid as many as I can. Now, the gameplay loop is basically the same as in Slime Rancher 1. You have this ranch, this conservatory in this case, and you have 8 plots on there. And after that, you can actually expand it with 4 additional expansions. And these expansions are pretty much the same as in Slime Rancher 1, weirdly enough. So you actually have 3 expansions. One is in a cave. One actually has fruit growing, just like the overgrowth. And then you have just an ordinary one with actually an option to buy an additional expansion, but first you need to buy that very first one. It's a little bit like exactly the same, but what I do like is the expansions all have 5 plots. So right now you have less, good ones and bad ones. I always kind of prioritize the ones with more plots and the one with less plots. But honestly, right now, the only really first expansion that you should buy, if you want to buy one, is probably the Grotto, because that's going to make housing Phosphor Slime, Batty Slimes, and stuff like that a lot easier. We once again get access to exactly the same things as we did in the previous game. The biggest differences are, one, we actually have a communicator station to talk with NPCs, but we no longer get tasks through that, so we don't really have their demand for something and a reward if we actually deliver it. That is completely gone. Right now, you can just talk to them and they will actually give you a little bit of a storyline or just show their little character personal story. And sometimes they actually give you a reward that is going to be pretty important for your progress to the game. They aren't necessary, but the things that they give, they are going to be a massive help. I will talk about that in other videos probably, but I just want to say those communicators, you shouldn't neglect them. And of course, the biggest difference is, of course, you're going to have access to the lab from the very start, which is really cool. And this lab is actually a lot more defined, a lot more intricate this time. So once again, you can still make your upgrades the same way. So you just pop the resources into the refinery. Extractors are gone, but we already knew that. Now you just actually have to go vacuum them in the world. But first, you actually need to unlock some upgrades for Beatrix, and you do that also through the laboratory. So basically, you can actually unlock upgrades not only by purchasing by new bucks, but also just by using specific plorts to make these upgrades. For example, dash boots, you need like 450 new bucks and 10 boom plorts for that. Now, that isn't that hard to get. 450 new bucks is pretty much nothing, but honestly, those stem boom plorts really make sure that you actually reach a certain point in the game so that you can actually really unlock that upgrade. And honestly, I really like its system. I really like it. Some things do have really big lists that require you not only to collect plorts, slime science resources, money, but also to open up treasure pots, because specific upgrades or resource materials are going to be hidden away in treasure pots. So it all kind of feels much more together. It really combines really great. And then there are 2 bigger points that we need to talk about: slimes and areas. And both of them actually have good things and bad things in my opinion. Let's start with the slimes. Now the slimes, there are 5 new slimes. We already knew those. They're going to be the ringtail, the flutter, the angler, the baddie, and the cotton slime. Now, 3 out of those 5 are basically, they're what you expect. They are slimes, you feed them plorts, they have little funny mechanics, and they work fine. There are 2, Flutter and Ringtail. I'm not going to mention what their secret is or what their mechanics are. I will have a video where I go over everything that you need to know about all slimes. But those 2 have very different mechanics, and honestly, I'm not really sure that they are really worth it. I think their gameplay designs are a little bit too far-fetched to really, add any value to the game. But honestly, you can circumvent them really easy, their gameplay mechanics. Once you actually make them Largos, there isn't going to be any problem with those gameplay mechanics. But I do have my opinions about them. I think these, the choices that they made when they actually designed the Ringtail and the Flutter, they're a little bit too far-fetched. You will know what I mean once you actually start playing them, or just watch my video where I run down all the new slimes and the returning slimes. Now, on the front of the returning slimes, they are exactly the ones that we always thought they were from the second summer preview trailer. Basically, all those are returning, and those that are missing from the list are most likely to just make a return in future updates. But my next point, and probably the one that I want to talk about the most, is basically the zones, the areas that you can actually visit. So you have Ember Valley, you have Starlight Strand, and you have Rainbow Fields. Coral Crested Tide Pools isn't a zone on its own. It's kind of, mixed in with those other trees. And basically, those are always going to be like the areas that were a little bit submerged at one point or something. And then you actually had like the slime sea kind of dropped, global warming or something. And then you actually have these new areas that show up where all the angle slime and coral reefs and stuff like that are. Now, Rainbow Fields is a zone I have a little bit of a problem with. It's really well made, it's really well sculpted, it's a lot smaller than the other two. The other two are way better and way bigger, but honestly, it's a tutorial island. It's basically just the dry reef in Slime Rancher 2. It's going to have some pink slime, some phosphor slimes, some tabby slimes, and some column slimes. That's it. There are 3 Gordos to be found. It's really great. It will just keep you, satisfied for a little bit, like kind of get you grips with the entire gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. It works really well. It works great. But then you actually realize, not only is this a tutorial island, whenever I pop a Gordo, I actually get a teleporter to a different island. And then you actually start to realize, wait, this zone isn't connected to the other zones, and then it just starts feeling like a teleporter hub. You pop the Gordo, then you get access to a tunnel or to a geyser that's going to, lift you up in the sky, get you to a higher platform. You'll find the button, press the button, and you'll have a teleporter to, the Ember Valley, to the Starlight Strand. And that just kind of minimizes the entire thing about Rainbow Fields. It's a tutorial island and it's a teleporter hub. Once you actually get past that high of I'm playing Slime Rancher 2, my conservatory is so cool, I'm in grassy fields with happy bunnies. That's really great the first 2 hours, but then you just realize, okay, so Rainbow Fields is a teleporter hub and I'm going to rush through this zone every playthrough that I get. It isn't a zone on its own, it's just a teleporter hub. And that really downplays the effect of Rainbow Fields. But luckily, we have the Ember Valley and Starlight Strand. Built really well. They look beautiful. Their designs are amazing. I really love the Starlight Strand. The Starlight Strand, you have these tunnels, you have these caves, you have these trees that you can climb. You actually have these logs that go everywhere. The verticality is amazing. There's always something to be found. Honestly, if you watched me play the very first hour that I was in Starlight Strand, you would have gotten annoyed with me. I was constantly just finding another corner or another cave or another tunnel or something, or just another pathway that I could just follow. And I was just constantly zipping from one point to the other point. And honestly, I got lost. I don't get lost very often in games. I really don't. I have really good coordination in games. That's not a flex, it's just the truth, to be honest. And I got lost, and that was just so fun, to be honest. That was the best moment that I had playing this game. Starlight Strand, very first time, I was zipping all over the place, and I loved every second of it. Now, Ember Valley is also really great. It has these lava pools, it has this mountainous area, but the problem is, both of these two areas, Starlight Strand and Ember Valley, they actually have 3 biomes hidden away in them. And the thing is, with the detail that you have in Starlight Strand, those biomes get a little bit, less hectic to change from. From Ember Valley, you are simply standing in like this fall area with some grass and some trees, and you are looking at one side of you, or to your left, you actually have a volcano with lava and stuff like that. And on the other hand, you actually have some mountainous area with like palm trees. And it kind of feels like in Starlight Strand, those biomes are a little bit more, well connected through, the use of those verticality, of those, are just artistic designs and pathways that you can follow and stuff like that. And I have that feeling a lot less with Ember Valley. Now, all in all, those zones are really well made. The guy who made these zones should really get a promotion. I don't know what his paycheck is, but it should really double just for Starlight Strand. Starlight Strand is amazing. Ember Valley is also really great. It gets a little bit downplayed because I just, kind of lifted up Starlight Strand up in the air. But honestly, Ember Valley is also really great. Rainbow Fields is also really well sculpted, but honestly, it doesn't feel like a zone as much as the other two. It's just a teleporter hub, and that's my biggest gripe with the game. So now you probably want to know from me, should you play this game? Well, honestly, I think you should. I think you will at least have like minimal 12 hours of pleasure in this game, and with future updates coming, that's only going to improve. I'm probably going to play this game for like 100 hours even before the next update arrives, so I'm already really happy with the game that I got. I got it for free from Monomi Park, I'm not gonna lie, but honestly, I was going to buy it anyway, and I'm really happy with the game so far. But that's how I feel. Please let me know in the comment section down below how wrong that I am, and maybe you should check out this guide right here, but don't click on it just yet. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on everything Slime Mansion 2 related. Thanks for watching, I'll see you over there.